With the news of Paramount, Blue Sky, Netflix and Universal Pictures planning to bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, there's new hope amongst the Snyder fans that finally the Snyderverse can be restored and Zack's vision can be completed of Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. Is this hope misplaced, or is there actually fact more than a hope here? Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I am Mick, your host with the most nostalgic girlfriends, wives, and especially your boyfriends and your husbands. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Remember to clip me and post it over on X Twitter, and I will retweet and quote tweet so everyone can see you. How much fun that would be. You're helping me, I'm getting you seen. Let's be pals here, right? You can also follow me on Instagram and on Threads, Movies TV Mad X, on Snapchat, BMouth60, and on TikTok, Mad Mickey's Well. A very warm welcome to Sunday's edition of the DCU Daily. There is going to be a bidding war for Warner Brothers Discovery. And finally, we're getting some hope from the Snyder fans. I'm a Snyder fan, but I'm not a cultist. I'm a DC fan. I want to see good DC shit. And for me, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman, the Snyder Cut, even, the first Suicide Squad movie. I enjoyed that movie. I thought it was okay. Not brilliant, but okay. And David Ayer's cut probably is the real deal. And I even enjoyed Black Adam. I loved Aquaman. I loved those movies. And I want to see that level of movie making back again. So let me be absolutely clear. I was here during the release of the Snyder Cut fight, and I fought for that cut. I'm not saying I had anything to do with the movie being released, but is this more false hope? In the past 10 years, we've had 2 sales and acquisitions of the Warner Brothers company. So Time Warner sold to the cable and wireless company AT&T, who had no scripted entertainment experience, but without AT&T and John Stankey, its president and CEO at the time, putting his hand in his pocket and actually giving his own private money to Zack Snyder to finish the Snyder Cut, it wouldn't have happened. So it was kind of a good thing that AT&T bought the company from Time Warner at the time. And I believe that Stankey wanted to restore the Snyderverse, but things went wrong. And I explained it at the time. At first, it was going to be released as a TV show. In episodes of Snyder Cut, from the moment it was one movie, they decided not to restore the Snyderverse. We'll never know why AT&T bent the knee to Warner Brothers Pictures. We'll never know that. Then AT&T, because of their lack of experience in scripted entertainment, ran Warner Brothers into the ground. Then they merged with David Zaslav and Discovery to create and form Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, Zaslav did a good thing. He appointed Mike DeLuca and Pam Adby from Amazon to head up as co-CEOs of Warner Brothers Pictures. They had a plan. They wanted to bring back Henry Cavill as Superman and Ben Affleck as Batman. They were all going to be in the ending of the Flash movie. But something happened with the Black Adam movie because they're working with The Rock's production company and The Rock to do something new, herald a new era of DC. But once someone from the Black Adam film said something stupid, which annoyed and triggered China, Black Adam was banned in China, which means Black Adam didn't make the money it needed to make to be able to herald this new era of DC. So that's what the problem was there. So that was over, right? So then this crazy guy Zaslav started smoking some wacky backy. James Gunn, that script's amazing. Co-CEO of DC Studios, Peter Safran, the guy who produced nearly 90% of the DCEU flops. Go on, Peter. Go on, James. Oh, yeah, definitely. So this is where we are now. We've got all these different issues going around, right? I didn't like Superman. Creature Commandos, from what I hear, I didn't see it, geolocked from watching it, apparently was okay. Peacemaker 2 is okay. But you can't have someone who is just obsessed with dick jokes and animals running a DC franchise. There shouldn't be a DC connected franchise. It should be splintered, despite what Gunn said that that's not good, that, you know, DC throughout the years has been splintered. It shouldn't all be connected. That's wrong. We need the opportunity to allow different visionaries to play with these different DC universes. That's the most healthiest thing. And we also have to understand that we can't have 4 or 5 DC projects a year. We've got to have one movie every 2 to 3 years. Because the public just don't have the energy for cape shit anymore to have that many DC movies or TV shows. We have to come back to some normality. But anyway, do I believe there's now hope for restoring the Snyderverse? Because certainly the Snyderverse stands I speak to are very, very hopeful. They're doing, like, you know, hashtag events again, which is really, really exciting. And every time there's a hashtag restore the Snyderverse, sell Snyderverse to Netflix, it does trend that, there's an audience for Snyder's DC stuff. We know that. We know Snyder still wants to come back. Snyder's never dropped his dream of finishing his DC vision. And I want to see that vision completed. And you people, the same people watching this video, also want Zack's vision completed. So it's not a foregone conclusion, of course, just because they sell it, that they're going to restore the Snyderverse. Although we've had some positives from the sale from Time Warner to AT&T in terms of seeing the Snyder Cut, and then Discovery and Adby and DeLuca pushing to bring Henry Cavill back, but that all became kind of a broken dream in the end, didn't it? Because ultimately, it's an entertainment industry and stuff has to make money. But they decided to get rid of Cavill, reverse their decision to bring Cavill back, bring in Gunn. He cast a brand new Superman in David Cornsweet, who basically was only cast not because Gunn's this amazing caster, because he was a fan cast. And Gunn denied that was the reason he cast him. Gunn is the ultimate liar, by the way. We know that's the real reason. We've got this ridiculous situation where we don't know if Robert Pattinson will be the DCU Batman. But this is what you got to understand. Now that there's a bidding war for WB, it's over. It's over for the DCU. The DCU hasn't got any future. And I think what's going to solidify this is when they release Man of Tomorrow, when they release Supergirl. Clayface is an interesting one. An R-rated body horror DC movie. Now you can imagine, if done well, that could be amazingly successful. But we've got to remember who's behind that idea. Thankfully, he's not directing the movie, but he's probably directing the director and the writer of the movie, despite him saying he wants to give creative freedom at DC Studios, which is nothing more than a logo. And so we look at the companies that are bidding, or that will be bidding for Warner Brothers Discovery. You look at Netflix, Paramount Blue Sky, and Universal, the biggest studio in the world right now. Who has got the money to spend $65 to $75 million on an entire entertainment company? Well, I think Netflix do have the money. I think Paramount Blue Sky obviously have the money, but I think the people with the real deep pockets who could realistically buy this thing are Universal. Universal are a studio that don't speak out of turn, who don't attack the fans. I like Universal. A lot of Snyder fans believe that Netflix is the best option. I don't agree that Netflix is the best option. Lots of red flags if you look at Netflix a little bit deeper. The fact is very interesting that they wanted Zack to release a 2-hour Rebel Moon, or two-hour Rebel Moon movies, and then allowed him to do a director's cut. Instead of saying to him, look, forget the 2-hour version, let's take a punt. Let's take a punt on this movie. Release your full version, Zack. Forget about the 2-hour version. Forget it. The 2-hour version, just like the cut version of Batman vs. Superman, just didn't make sense, you know. So that, you know, by cutting Rebel Moon into a couple of hours, instead of letting the full vision come out from the beginning, you got people saying the movie sucked, the movie sucked, the movie sucked. But if you actually let the guy release the full versions from the beginning, that issue wouldn't have happened. So I don't necessarily, I think they dropped the Rebel Moon ball. And I don't blame Zack for that. Again, a studio interfering with the man's vision. That's how I see that situation. So I don't think Netflix will be the ones who will be successful in buying Warner Brothers Discovery. Paramount Blue Sky, brand new company, interesting situation. They were on their knees. They merged with Blue Sky. Then all of a sudden, there's, you know, this big situation where they're going shopping. So Paramount certainly have the money. Whether they have the infrastructure to make Warner Brothers successful again is another question. My favourite option to buy this studio is Universal Pictures. Someone on Twitter the other day said he was comparing the situation with the sale to 20th Century Fox to Disney, and he was saying how great it was that they swallowed Fox up, and the Fox name, the 20th Century Fox name, disappeared. My friend, you don't love movies and television or the history of movies and television if you think that's a good thing. It's not a good thing that Warner Brothers is going to be sold and the Warner Brothers Pictures, Warner Brothers Television name is going to be swallowed up. And then it will be Warner Brothers Universal or Warner Brothers, you know, Paramount or Warner Brothers Netflix. Not the same. We're talking about nearly 100 years of entertainment tradition. To want that name of Warner Brothers to be swallowed up and disappear, that means you lack a love and a knowledge of entertainment history. So even though I know this is a necessity, right, I'm sad that Warner Brothers won't be an independent entertainment company anymore. But in terms of what it is today, it has to be sold. And as fans, as a consumer, we want it to be sold to the most competent people possible. And the reality is, when you look at the kind of films Universal are pumping out, then you look at Paramount, where there's no evidence that they're competent at this moment. They seem good people. They said a thing about a thing going on in the world right now, which I didn't like and I don't want to talk about. That kind of put me off of them as a company. And Netflix, I don't trust Netflix a fucking tool. So for me, it's got to be Universal. Now, whether Universal like Zack or not, I mean, look, Zack's making something at Paramount, right? Can't remember what the project is. So people are putting two and two together, getting 6. Oh, yeah, they'll restore the Snyderverse, right? There are no guarantees that the Snyderverse is going to be restored just because Warner Brothers is being sold and Gunn, Safran and Zaslav won't be involved anymore. But what I would say the situation of this bidding war brings is renewed hope. I certainly believe that there's hope that finally the Snyderverse could be restored. Let me know what you think though. Comment down below. Do you think the Snyderverse will be restored if it gets sold to another company? Do you believe there's more hope, or do you have no hope of the Snyderverse being restored? My opinion as someone who has access to people within the industry is the best chance to restore the Snyderverse is through a sale. And it's interesting when you look at the different companies and their mentalities. I certainly feel that Universal are intelligent people, and if they look at the box office of Man of Steel and BVS, they'll see that there's potential in allowing Snyder to finish what he started. He trends on Twitter, on social media platforms all the time, whether it's positive or negative. You know, all publicity is good publicity. That's the business of entertainment today. Because we can't carry on with what Gunn's doing. I want Gunn to have his own corner at DC, I'm fine with that. I want Reeves to continue his Batman crime saga independently. And that's another thing. You know, this whole thing's cropped up whether or not Reeves' Batman will merge with the DCU. Gunn was asked again on Threads and said it's not about being allowed or not. Matt doesn't want that, so we're going to respect that. That's not true because he's been trying to pressure Matt from the beginning. Since the inception of the DC Studios trademark, he's been pressuring Matt to allow the Batman crime saga to be merged with the DCU. I mean, Clayface is also produced by Matt Reeves. And the reason, recently we found out through set picture leaks, that the Batman crime saga from Reeves' Batman logo is in Clayface, isn't because it was a mistake, isn't because Gunn can't keep track of everything on his desk, as he puts it. It's a tactic to put pressure on Matt Reeves. And when another studio buys DC and buys Warner Brothers, these problems go away. Because these three studios understand that this idea of doing a DC-connected franchise with movies, TV shows, streaming shows and video games, which Gunn promised us, and there's nothing going on, of course, right, isn't what we should be doing. We need individual DC projects, TV shows and movies like we've always had. Because if things ended up the Gunn way years ago, there would be no Smallville. There would be no Arrowverse. There would be no Superman Returns. I like Superman Returns. I'm glad that Superman Returns exists. There'll be no Burton Batman movies or Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. Splintering things and allowing different creatives to inject different visions into this DC universe is the best way forward.